2 years ago, I was a broke college kid with no direction, no idea what the future held for me. I was addicted to all sort of vices, drugs, alcohol, girls, you name it. And fast forward 2 years later to today, and I just made over $10,000 in the past 10 days through the world of virtual sales. This is my complete story from a small town kid on the east coast of Florida to building a six-figure sales career through the world of virtual sales in just 2 years. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Jacob Sharrow, and I currently live in Tampa, Florida. I'm 22 years old, and I actually grew up on the east coast of Florida in a small beach town by the name of Melbourne. And I grew up in a very middle-class family. My parents were always supportive. My parents worked super hard to provide for me and my sister and to provide for our family. My mom has been a nurse her whole life. My dad was a police officer, an engineer. So we were very middle class. We were never rich by any means, right? But we weren't dead broke either. Growing up, I was always the skinny kid. I was a late bloomer in puberty. I was very, very uncomfortable in my own skin up until that point, about sophomore, junior year of high school, due to, I guess, poor genetics, right? And it made me very insecure all my life about my height and weight. But I was athletic. Right? I played literally every sport that you could name. I played football, I played basketball, I ran track, I played lacrosse, right? I was goofy, I was an outgoing kid, I was social. But despite all this, deep down, I was insecure about myself. I was also a smart kid as well, right? I was a straight A student my whole entire life. Good morals, good values, raised by good parents. Right? And throughout basically middle and high school, I worked at Sky Zone starting at like 14, 15, because I always was money driven, even from a young age. I always knew that I was going to make a lot of money. I just didn't know how. And then I was a busboy at a restaurant on like a river where I lived by. And then through high school, what I really did to make cash while I played sports and just went to school was DoorDash. I was a good kid with good intentions, but that was about to change, right? And I had no clue. Sophomore year of high school, I started lifting weights, and I started with a personal trainer with my best friend Gavin at the time. So we went to this trainer. His name was Edwin Jimenez. Will never forget him. Empire Sports Performance. But that's when I really started to take like the gym and sports, right, seriously. And that's when I really started to really start to improve my physique, and just myself mentally, and really started to develop myself. That's when I began to put on a little bit of muscle, right? I got moved up to varsity halfway throughout the season. And I began to build confidence, and that was like the beginning of the transformation and me transforming who I was from a boy to a man. I also started hanging around the wrong crowd. About sophomore, junior year of high school, at that time I had just turned 16, just got a car, right? So I had a little bit more freedom, I guess you could say, and I fell into the typical teenage rabbit hole, right? I started smoking weed when I was 16. I started to drink alcohol. I would steal alcohol out of my parents' cabinet, right? When they went to sleep. And Mom, Dad, if you're watching this, I love you, I'm sorry. As I was starting to fall into those vices, I was starting to play video games, right? As you guys probably know, peak 2020, 2021. And even at one point, I was little dab pens, dab cartridges. I was selling those. And I stopped playing tackle football because I was the smallest kid on the field. I switched to lacrosse, became popular in high school, but I was developing bad habits because I was in a bad environment surrounded by bad people. At 17 years old, something changed my entire perspective. One of my best friends, Josh Joppin, he was 18 at the time when I was 17, but Josh, he introduced me to stocks and trading at 17. And for the first time, I started to learn about business, money, making money, online. And then from that point on, my whole perspective and worldview shifted entirely. I always knew, like I said, I was meant for more, and I always knew that I was going to be successful, but I just didn't know what that looked like. Senior year of high school, COVID hits, we go into lockdown basically. I have the whole summer, and then I head into my senior year, fall of 2020, and that's when I started my senior year, but we had the option to take online classes. Going into senior year, I started my first business my first online business, and that was a drop shipping store. So throughout this whole time too, I was like smoking weed during online classes, middle of the day I was getting high, right? I was smoking weed with my friend Josh, getting high middle of the day, not caring about school, but still getting A's. So the dropshipping store, I gave up. Ultimately, I built out a store, I found products. I bought like a $300 video course, which at the time, courses were like not really even a thing. I built out a store, started my Shopify. I was so excited. And then ultimately it got to the point where I had to start running ads and I was like, whoa, I have to put money into this to make this thing work. I ultimately like set up an ad campaign and everything, set up the Facebook account. And then I ultimately didn't run ads because I was too scared. And I even contemplated not going to college, but ultimately the reason I went, A, my parents wanted me to, and B, the main reason that I went was I had a Bright Future scholarship, which if you guys don't know what that is, I got like a certain score on the SAT in high school, which ultimately basically gave me a full ride to college wherever I wanted to go in Florida. So I got 100% of my tuition covered. And my parents really wanted me to go. They probably would have disowned me at 18 if I didn't. So fast forward, fall of 2021, and I went to USF, University of South Florida in Tampa. I actually started out as a civil engineering major because my grandpa owns a civil engineering company and then my dad has been like an engineer, project manager his whole life, besides being a police officer. Basically like encouraged me to get an engineering degree and they were like, yeah, you can make 6 figures, this, that. And that's what my dad and grandpa wanted. Fall 2021, first semester, freshman year, I met a couple guys, some dude on the recruitment director for my fraternity in college at the time DM'd me on Instagram. He was like, hey, come by and check out our house, this, that. So I went there with my roommate, Hunter, and a couple of my other roommates freshman year, and ultimately, like the rest is history. I ended up rushing a fraternity because I still liked to party. I still drank, I still smoked, I still did all these, things. I planned all the parties, all the events. As college just went on, I got very involved, and honestly, like I said, I'm glad that I did that chapter in that phase of my life because it truly got it out of my system. And I guess I could say I had like a cool college experience and had that fun, but now I can actually focus on like building the life that I want and fulfilling the vision that I have for my life. So then after my freshman year, switched to an entrepreneurship major, and then I moved into my frat house, right, where I lived with 40 guys. It was honestly a crazy experience looking back on it. It doesn't seem real, and it's like one of the best experiences, I guess you could say, because it was cool, but very grown out of that phase of my life now. But I did meet some of my best friends, and I met one of my best friends, Kishan. He was actually my roommate, and you guys have probably seen him on either my channel or of him. Kishan, I met him, basically we pledged together and everything, and then my sophomore year of college, I moved in with him to our frat house, and he started doing high ticket sales when we moved in. Basically, I lived with him and it was cool to see. I saw him basically go from $0 for college frat kid to by the time he graduated a year later in 12 months, he was making like 15 grand a month. So it was very cool to see, and he's one of my best friends to this day. It's very cool to see that journey, and I saw living proof of, whoa, you can actually make money online. And that's when I was like, whoa, I know what I'm gonna do. But then going into my senior year, right, that's when everything changed. So I basically had 12 months left before I graduated to figure out what the heck I was gonna do in my life. So that's when I finally decided to go all in. I took high ticket sales, very seriously. I went all in and fully committed my time, energy, and effort to it for 12 months. Took action on the vision that I had for myself. Barely any sales experience, had a couple grand to my name. I think it was like 4 or 5 grand to my name. And I was living in the frat house still, sophomore, junior year, moving into my senior year of college, right? 12 months left, went all in on sales. I actually signed, it was like a $2,100 a month, so $2K a month apartment. I signed the lease for it to move in before I even made $1 online. So I signed that apartment. I started to develop a relationship with God, right? I started to put my faith in the Lord. I started to work really hard. I went all in, I bet on myself, and I knew that if I just worked my ass off and I was in the right opportunity, which I was, because I was learning from Kishan again, I knew that I couldn't lose. I went all in. I isolated myself from every single person pretty much that was in my frat, and I isolated myself from that environment, from those people, and I literally took 12 months to transform my life and who I was as a person. And no more fraternity house, no more partying, no more vices. right? No more excuses. I went all in. I treated high ticket sales like it was literally my business, and I put in the work every single day. Woke up every single day with a fire in me to change my life. So for over a year, I grinded high ticket sales. I made over 10K a month. I made well over 6 figures my very first year. And I started with appointment setting, did that about 5 months. And then I moved into closing, did that about 9 months, and made well over 6 figures my first year. Came out completely unrecognizable from the party, viced out, degenerate kid who was too scared to actually do anything with his life. And look at me now, right? So, and I don't say that from a prideful or egotistical way. I say that to show you guys that you can literally change your life and you can do anything you want if you go all in. So with all that being said, the main takeaway is that the person I am now, who makes multiple 6 figures in virtual sales, was nothing like the kid who was smoking weed during online classes. I developed real confidence. I am the most confident I've ever been in myself. Basically the past year and a half, 2 years, I've learned to communicate completely differently. I speak with confidence, conviction. I can handle pressure. I have the most discipline ever that I've ever had, right? I have good habits. I surround myself with good people. I went from basically being an insecure, skinny kid to being who I am now, and to become the type of man that I am now, right? It all just took one decision to make a change and go all in. About 2-3 months ago, I started a completely new journey in selling life insurance. And the results have been insane. I've made over 10 grand in the past 10 days, right? From personal production, and I'm currently building out a team, right? And I'm looking for people who are hungry and motivated and who have a work ethic, right? But I built out a team, and I've already become a rookie top producer in the agency and company the past couple weeks. All the skills that I developed in high ticket sales, communication, objection handling, closing, speaking with confidence and conviction, right? They transferred directly to life insurance. But this opportunity is even better because I get free leads and I get proven scripts that work. All you have to do is read a script word for word to free leads and get trained by me directly, and you can make 6 figures your first year from home. I really want you guys to understand how the journey from a small town kid on the East Coast, small beach town, to making 6 figures, living in a high-rise apartment in downtown Tampa, it wasn't luck. It was the result of making a decision to make a change and isolating myself from bad environments, bad people, bad vices, developing a skill set. With that being said, every setback, every mistake, every moment of doubt, every moment of uncertainty, every single failure, every single success, it all led me to where I am today. So with all that being said, I went from the insecure skinny kid to the frat star, the party degenerate, viced out kid, to now being the man that can make the type of money that he wants to, but more importantly, have a great relationship with the Lord, have a great relationship with family, with friends, and just truly living out the life and building the reality and building the vision that I have for myself. So I want to say thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video, right? Listening to my journey, right? And everything that I've went through in my entire life has prepared me for the moment and the season that I'm in right now. I'm documenting my journey from literally zero in insurance to becoming a millionaire in the insurance industry. And I want to help others do the same. If my story resonates with you, if you're tired of being broke and you're in a situation, 9 to 5, college, right, you're unfulfilled, and you know that you're meant for more and you're ready to change your life, then I have something for you. I'm looking for people who are 100% all in, that are ready to change their life and ready to put in the work, ready to show up every single day, ready to grind, ready to go through adversity, ready to work hard, but also ready to change their life and make multiple 6 figures from home. So you'll be reading a script word for word. Our company gives you all of the leads completely for free. You're going to get direct one-to-one mentorship and training from me and from my mentors. So you're gonna have every single tool that you need to change your life, to make the money you want, and to become the person that you want. And that aside, right, all of those things, you're also gonna be surrounded by people who are gonna push you mentally, physically, spiritually, and as a result of that, you're gonna become the person that you want to financially. So for people who are ready to put in the work and develop a real skill set and change their life in the process and change their family's life and be the one that saves your family and changes your bloodline. So if you're someone who's tired of making excuses, if you're someone who's ready to start building the life that you actually deserve, then reach out to me, shoot me a DM, we can chat, see if it's a good fit. But I'm gonna link the Instagram below as well. Check out the other videos on my YouTube channel, and I'm looking forward to talking to someone that's ready to change their life. Your future self is waiting. Only question that I have for you is, are you ready to start becoming him? With that being said, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and watch the journey. I appreciate, the support, but more importantly, right, you're gonna get connected with me and you're gonna have an opportunity to change your life if you're ready to go all in. And I will see you guys in the next video.